Welcome, dear listeners, to the Speak and Flow podcast, where we dive into unique strategies and stories to help you and your team achieve maximum potential and flow even when the stakes are high. I have the complete honor of introducing to you a friend, an industry leader in the security services. His name is Raul Franco. He is the training manager. Hi, Raul.
Hi, Melinda. Thank you for having me.
I am so glad you're here today. We're going to do a couple things. We're going to share your expertise, tell all the audience the amazing things that you do, plus also the experience that you and the team had when I started working with the company. Does that sound good?
Most definitely, yes. I'd love to share that.
Awesome. So before we dive into that, can you tell us, how did you get into the security industry anyways?
Good question. Okay, we're gonna have to go back about 25 years. So before I got into the security industry, going back to like my high school days, I originally wanted to play football. Um, so I watched football as a kid, and I wanted to be a football player, to be honest with you. That didn't pan out. Um, I wasn't quite tall enough or strong enough to really be a football player. So that didn't work out. But I did try, and you always got to try,
Yeah.
even if you fail, at least you can say at the end of the day, hey, I gave it my best shot. I tried. Because if you don't try, then you're always going to have that feeling later on that, oh man, I should have at least gave it a shot. So it started there. And then another thing that I wanted to do as a high schooler was wrestling. I enjoyed pro wrestling. Um, but again, not tall enough, not strong enough, so just, didn't end up going that route. Um, Looking in hindsight, I'm actually kind of glad I didn't go into either career because of all the brain trauma that's going around a lot of these pro wrestlers and football players. It's pretty bad. So kind of glad I didn't end up going um, either route. But another thing that I enjoyed was music back in high school. So I also wanted to be in a rock band. I played guitar back then, and I wanted to be in a rock band. But then 18 came, and reality kicked in. I'm living on my own. I have to pay rent. I have to support myself and my girlfriend at the time. So, I ended up in the fast food industry, and eventually a security guard came to our restaurant, and he saw my customer service skills. He saw my presentation skills, and he asked me if I wanted to be a security guard for his company, and I said, yeah, sure. Let's give it a shot. Um, so I went in and took the class to get my license to be a security guard. I got hired by a company, and at 19, I started working in the security industry. Um, and around that time, I started watching a lot of true crime documentaries. So at that young age of 19, my end goal was to be a police detective. Because I don't know, I was motivated by these detectives who took the time, the effort to really, obtain justice for these families, for their loved ones that they lost in these really horrific and tragic ways. And I was kind of inspired by that. And I said, you know what, I'd like to be that guy one day, maybe telling one of these stories on TV about how I busted the bad guy and I brought justice to the family and I brought that closure. So I was inspired by these shows, and I wanted to be a police detective originally, even back, way back then. But I ended up not going that route. Um, a lot of police officers don't have long life expectancies, unfortunately. If you look at the stats, a lot of them barely make it into their 70s. So that's another thing that I factored in. And I'm like, I want to live. I want to live as long as I can. If I can make it to 70, 80, 90, that'd be great. But I know if I become a police officer or a detective, I'm going to shorten my life expectancy drastically. So fortunately, I ended up not becoming a police officer or a detective. I instead just stuck with the security industry, which I'm still happy about. You know, I'm not regretting anything about it. But no, I'm happy to be in this industry. It's been 21 years now I've been in this industry. Um, the last 5 years, I've worked as a trainer. And as I was mentioning to you, you know, I really could have used you 5 years ago when I started my training courses. Because when I first started training, you know, I it was hard. You know, I had anxiety
Mm,
before I would roll out these trainings.
mm,
I would get sweaty.
yeah,
My heart would race, you know, and it was hard at first.
uh,
And a lot of times I would start off the trainings pretty shaky.
yeah,
Um, and then eventually I would find my flow. You know,
yeah,
maybe after the first few minutes, I would eventually find my flow. That's why I
yeah.
like your program. It's called Flow, and I'm all about the flow. I love it, you know. But yeah, a lot of the trainings and public speaking, it's about the flow. It really is, you know.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, um,
How long did it take for you to like? What did you use any tools, or you just kept on practicing until the nerves went away?
practice did help a lot.
Uh-huh.
But there are some other tips and tricks that I utilized
Okay.
early on because I started noticing like, you know, and I would watch my recordings of myself and I
Yeah,
would say, oh man, I'm shaky.
yeah.
You know,
Good for
it's like
you.
I was like a wind up toy where the first, you know, I had to get wind up
Yeah.
before I would be able to really, you know, take off. So, but yeah, some of the things I started doing to help myself
Mm-hmm.
is I would watch a lot of the great public speakers. So I'd watch a few TED Talks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would watch Wayne Dyer. I'm not sure if you're
Mm-hmm.
familiar with him. One of the all-time most inspirational speakers. So I would watch Wayne Dyer. I would listen to other inspirational speakers. Um, I'm trying to name a couple here. Let's see. Dwayne the Rock.
Uh-huh.
Dwayne the Rock Johnson. I know that sounds funny because he's a pro wrestler now. He's a movie star, but he has such confidence when he
Yeah.
speaks, and
Yeah.
that's one thing I like to mimic from him is
Yes.
his confidence.
Yes.
Wayne Dyer, I love his calmness,
Yes.
his soothing voice. You know, and there's a lot of other great ones that I can mention. You know, Tupac, the rapper, maybe not the greatest speaker, but he had a great mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he would think of things that most people would never even really think about in their daily lives. So, you know, I would get inspired by a lot of these I would call them role models actually. You know, Bob Marley, Tupac, The Rock, the Wayne Dyer, just to name a few. David Lee Roth is another one. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him,
Yes.
the lead singer for Van Halen. That guy's again, he's another one of those guys that just has, you know, charisma to the ceiling, you know.
Love it.
So I would try to mimic these guys
That's
as
perfect.
much as I
Yes.
could in my trainings,
Yes.
and you know, to just take a little bit from each one of them, you know.
Yes, it's so important, especially when we don't feel it ourselves, but to watch somebody else, to breathe it in. I think when you're listening to people like that you're inspired by, and you notice those things, it actually transfers. Our body, our brains cannot see in others what we already don't have in ourselves. So you're seeing things of yourself. There's a mirror of you when you're seeing other people's traits.
Yeah,
So you can see that
absolutely.
for yourself. You can start to, it lightens up. It unveils and taps into parts of you that are there. And so
Hmm.
that's what you're doing subconsciously. You may not even know that that's what you're doing, but you're tapping into the parts of you that are there that you see in the other people. And so it transfers. And then so you're able to use it even in your trainings, even when you think that you didn't have it, but it can get unfolded and blossom within you like that.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you know,
Ah,
you tap in
yeah,
sometimes into these
yeah.
other
Yeah.
personalities and you try to channel them a little bit,
Handle it.
you
Awesome.
know.
Awesome. Well,
But you know, every
you.
voice is different.
Yeah.
That's another thing I've noticed. Every, you know, some voices are easier to listen to and you enjoy listening to versus others. Uh, you know, like it's like going back in school, you know, some teachers you could listen to all day. And then
Yeah.
there's some teachers that you could only listen to for so long, and then
Yes.
eventually you get, you know, bored and you almost
Right.
fall asleep. And
Right.
that, you know, you can kind of see the differences sometimes in the great teachers versus the teachers who would just kind of give you half of the effort.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't really have their heart and
Right.
soul into it. So
Right.
a lot of times you get bored with those teachers. But the teachers that are more passionate and inspirational and, you know, they're just more outgoing and energetic and have that charisma, you tend to want to listen to them a lot
Yeah.
longer, you know.
Right, right. Well,
Um,
speaking about different personalities and people, what about the team? Oh, I was brought in to support the security services team. And so there were a lot of different personalities and people. What was it like? Do you recall before we started working together, as we were starting to work together, what was their public speaking like as a theme, as a whole for the group?
well, you know, first thing I got to say is I'm glad you came and you trained
Mhm.
us because we a lot of us needed this training. But looking back on where we started, um, I mean, you made everybody better,
Oh,
including me. You know, um, our art director. I mean, she, you know, you saw her in the beginning. She was really shaky. A lot of times she would have to start over, and we'd have to do a retake. So I believe the entire training was about 3 months with you, right? Approximately
yes.
3 months. Yeah. Yeah, the first time around, you know, it was just, you know, and she's young, of course.
Yeah.
You know, I don't expect her to be,
No, no judgment, no judgment.
you
Even
know,
people that are 50, 40s, 50s, 60s experience this shakiness, the stumbling. It's really like it's actually 80% of humankind, right? They experience these things when they're about to do public
oh,
speaking.
I believe it.
So
I believe it.
yeah,
It could even be
yeah,
more than that, but yeah, I believe that
yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. But I mean, just seeing where she started and where she was during the first training session compared to the last training session.
So let's
I mean,
hold it there right there. Let's like describe like her. She had the shaky voice before we go into the where we are today. So they had the shaky voice, and what else did you see?
well, in her in particular, yeah, she was shaky. She didn't really speak with much confidence. Um, she stuttered a lot. Um, maybe she wasn't prepared. But yeah, there
Mm-hmm.
was a lot of stuttering. There's a few times where she would just get stuck and then have to basically tell you, "Oh, let's start over. Let's do a retake."
Is it and then
Um,
you were practicing public speaking? Was it a public speaking or just communication, like a team meeting?
I think when we did it with you, it was over Zoom. So
Oh,
when
in
we
the
were
beginning,
practicing
got it.
initially.
In the beginning, got it. Got it with me. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't just her. There were quite a few other managers
Right.
that also kind of had similar issues. Um, but you know, going now towards the end of the training we received from you, you know, I'm speaking about mostly the last session we had with you. I just saw vast improvement in everyone. I was impressed. Like, I mean, after our art director finished speaking after our last session, um, I mean, I probably shouldn't have said what I said, but I said, God, that was 1,000 times better. You know, and I feel bad looking back now saying that, but it is kind of the truth. I mean, she just went from, I mean, from zero to 100. I mean, she was on that stage. She was walking around. She didn't stutter. She had confidence. I mean, she sounded like she knew what she was talking about and that she meant it, and it was great. So out of everyone, I think you had the most impact on her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was nice. That was really nice to see that. But everybody, I think, improved. Going from day one to the last session, everybody improved. A lot of us improved drastically. And, you know, as I mentioned, I definitely could have used you 5 years ago. But I still learned things from you. And I
What did
remember
you learn?
telling you that during the first session, I said, you know what? I kind of already have this down for the most part, but I'm still open to listen, and because I'm sure there's something else I can learn from you, you know. And I did. There was, I improved even.
Did
So
you?
I found this training to be very valuable. And before you came along, I had not even known that there was companies like yours that even offer this kind of training. So it was pretty neat when I first heard about, your speak and flow training. And I was like, oh, wow, there's actually training for this. I'm like, could have used this a while ago, but I'm glad we have it now. We had it, and a lot of us did improve from it. So I thank you dearly for coming out and training us.
Thank you. I'm so glad to hear. I really saw the difference in them, and I love that they were able to all tell stories. Like none of them really, I think most of them weren't as like knew how to tell stories, and now they can tell success stories, client success stories too, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, it's important in our business. You know, our business is about selling. We're trying to sell a product. The product is our officers. So, we need to be able to articulate, that's those selling points, to
Yeah,
these clients so they can, uh, take on our services,
yeah.
rather than, go with another company. So, yeah.
Well, I'm curious, what did you learn? You said you learned. What did you learn?
Well, okay. A lot of the techniques that you provided us with, I kind of already was doing. So like the breathing techniques,
Mm-hmm.
I was doing that a while ago, and it does help. You take 2 or 3 deep breaths, it kind of resets your heart rate,
Mm-hmm.
and it puts you in a state of calmness
Mm-hmm.
before you start speaking. So that I like. Um, you also told us to put ourselves in a happy place, right? A
Mm-hmm.
good location, a comfortable location,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something that I had not done before.
Mm-hmm.
So that I did learn from you. Like, yeah, put yourself in a good, happy place before you go up there and speak. Um, and one of my happy places was the training room. And the reason is because I've been training in this room the last 3 years. I've been speaking to our new officers the last 3 years in this room, and I feel very comfortable when I'm in that room.
Yeah.
So if I'm speaking to an audience of 40 or 50 at one of our local high-rise buildings, to these, building tenants, I pretend that I'm back in the training room with the regular security guards that I'm comfortable with speaking to. And you know what I mean? Like, so that helped. That helped me, just picturing myself in that happy place. The kakar also, it's funny, it makes perfect sense, why we should utilize the kakar. But I feel like I was already doing the kakar without knowing
Right.
that it was
Right.
it was called the kakar.
Right.
But no, that's a really good method for a lot of people to utilize, is that kakar method.
Nice.
But I just didn't know there was a name for it. So
That was, yeah, that's just something I've used with my clients as something easy to remember. So, but I
yeah,
have fun.
and
Wonderful.
and I'm not perfect. I can tell you some of my flaws early on, and some of them I still need to work on. So filler words.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to do my best to eliminate those filler words as much as possible. The ums and the and all that. It's hard to do, but it can be done. And from what I've heard, it's like the more you practice, the more you rehearse, the better prepared you are, the more likely you'll get rid of those filler words.
Nope,
Um,
wrong.
but there's another thing that's
There's
part
another
of it.
method. There's
There's
another
another
method.
method, but
Yes.
that's part of it. You
Right.
can use another word like furthermore. You could use another filler word that's not or or like. But Yeah, getting rid of the filler words for me is something that I would like to work on more for
Right.
myself personally. Another reason why I feel that I use filler words at times is if I'm talking too much for too long. It's like you're bound to have a couple of those filler
No,
words.
no,
It seems like,
sorry.
but that's just what I see. I don't know.
Yeah, that's not true. Those are all not true.
No? Okay. So
No.
you teach me here. You
Yeah.
tell me.
So here's opportunity. Well, we want to focus more on your presence and the connection to your internal state because we went through the Be Me scan and we tend to start to use filler words when we are in when our body starts to doubt like what I'm saying.
Mm,
So remember how I did the Be Me scan and I started to the first step is noticing when you're in the doubt and then replacing that with pausing versus filler because you don't want to use furthermore because that's more filler word unless it makes sense to use furthermore. But if you're using a lot of filler words and to replace it with furthermore, then there's more filler words.
in other words, you're still using filler words
Yeah,
then.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So it's actually better to pause.
That's right. You did say that, and that
Yeah,
made a lot of sense. And a lot of the people I watched on TED Talks, they pause a lot.
pause. And then
And there's power behind that little pause, believe
so
it or
much
not,
power.
right?
And then okay, so there is your a little point about when you're starting to talk too much, then you start to that's because you're doubting what you're saying.
Mm, I
Then
see.
the filler words start to come in because you're just speaking to speak. So you want to make sure every single point that you're saying, especially when you are doing public speaking, we want to be clear, concise with our points, and then pause.
Hmm.
And that so that when you feel your internal signals starting to doubt yourself, then you pause and just say less.
Hmm.
Allow for
That makes a lot of sense.
yeah,
Because sometimes for me it depends on the training that I'm giving,
right,
uh, whether I use filler words or not.
right.
So one training, just to give an example, that I notice I use less filler words with is the active shooter training.
Okay.
And I feel that way because with the active shooter training, it's a very serious topic, right?
Yeah,
It's not a fun topic. It's,
yeah,
so my tone will be more serious when
yeah,
I speak about, active shooter situations, some of the case studies, you
right.
know. So my tone will be more serious and I'll tend to talk a little bit slower
Yes.
and I'll pause more.
So you're not
Um,
doing it right now because like you're in that active shooter training mode. I just noticed the switch. It's when you're thinking, I noticed that now when you're thinking and you're in your head, you'll start to have more filler words. But when you're very present and like in your active training, so maybe the next time you speak, be in that mode of I'm in the active training speaking mode. And it's not to be direct or monotonous, but it's to be more clear and concise. And then that eliminates the filler words.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree.
Makes
The
some
other
clarity.
training
Yeah.
that we
Yeah.
provide that I've noticed I do tend to use more filler words with is our fire safety training.
Mhm.
And I kind of have an idea why that is because they only give us about an hour
Right.
to go over the the whole entire fire safety training um, plans. So a lot of times I have to rush that training a little bit.
Uh,
And when I'm rushing, you're talking a little bit faster. I notice I tend to use more filler words.
more
So
filler
you're
words.
right about slowing it down,
Yeah.
pausing,
Yes.
from time to time. That does help eliminate the filler words. So with active shooter, I take my time.
Yeah.
It's a
Your
serious
time,
training again, but
your
with but yeah, it just depends on the training sometimes.
so many
The
points, I
speed, how
guess.
much time you have, the pressure.
I think when you, because you have pressure on yourself, then you start to speak faster and then you start to have more filler words because you're having this pressure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like I mentioned, that's when the filler words come in because when you have pressure, when you have doubt, something within you is doubting. So then you have the filler words.
Yeah. Or you look at the clock and you're like,
Oh,
oh
shoot.
crap,
Yeah.
I got
And
15 minutes
yeah.
left. I better start speeding this up a
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, that
Yes.
tends to happen. But
Yeah.
yeah, I see the flaws in myself, um, filler words is something I can continue to work on a bit. Um,
Practice that. Practice that next time when you have a training. Go into your active shooter and then put together bullet points that are just a couple, make less points, and then
mhm.
taking your time.
Yeah, taking your time and pausing really, really helps
Pausing.
eliminate those filler words.
Right.
There's something else that oh, eye contact.
Eye contact.
Eye contact. So
Tell me.
I do scan the room. I
Yes.
scan the room, but I usually don't make too much direct eye contact. And I probably could use that and do that more, and that would probably be a little bit more helpful because then you can
This
make
will,
a deeper connection.
yeah. So this will help you when you slow down and you make one point at a time.
Hmm.
One point. Okay. So Raul, look at me. I'm looking at you. I'm going to make one point at a time. And then, and then I can move to another point and then look at somebody else. Yeah. So
Yeah,
really,
you did that very well when you were training us in person. I noticed that like you connected eye to eye with everybody, and I was like, wow. Like I mean, you are the professional here, but still, I was like, man, that's really cool that you
yeah.
connected with all of us just with your
Yeah.
eyes,
I think
you
it's, I
know.
mean, if you go to your core value of, and I know you so well because we've been working together, of core value of you want to feel everyone included. Like that's generally what I want. I want the whole room to know that they belong.
Yeah, you definitely did that. And that's not easy to do because I mean, I'm sure you've spoken in front of dozens of people and you always get at least a couple of people who,
Right.
they kind of give you not
Um,
so very,
right,
yeah, you
right,
get
right.
that
Hmm.
and you don't really want to focus too much on them, but
Right.
you want to still
Yes.
because you
Yeah.
don't want to lose their attention. You want to regain their attention somehow, but
Mhm.
it is hard to do. I'll be
Mhm.
honest. You know, one of the I won't mention his name, but our VP, um, he made a lot of eye contact with me during the last session, and
Oh,
I liked it. It was kind of funny, but I know why he did, um, because from what I've read, is that you know to make yourself feel comfortable when you're speaking publicly, look for somebody in the audience who is like really listening.
right.
Uh, and just they're paying attention. They're you know they care about what you're saying. And I think that's kind of like what my RVP did with me is he saw that I was really in tuned and I was really listening and I was, supportive. I had good body language, you know,
Yeah.
and he looked at me several times during his presentation and I said, okay, I need to start doing something similar. But I was
Yeah.
really impressed because how you connected with everybody in the room with
Oh,
your eyes. And that's hard to do sometimes when you have people with, poor body language or, they look like they're not interested.
right, right.
It's hard to do that.
Yeah.
So, wow, you are truly a professional
Oh,
public speaker.
I
Uh,
appreciate it.
I mean, I thought I was good, but no, there's people better than me for sure,
Oh,
for
thank
sure.
you. Thank you so much, Raul. I really appreciate that. That means a lot.
You're
It means
very welcome.
a
It's
lot.
the truth.
Thank you. Oh, that was so fun. I really appreciate your time and just doing that reflection on not just what we had experienced with the team, but with you and just public speaking in general, all the key tools and tips that people can use. And I trust that people, whoever's listening out there, have taken away what they needed. And so before we close, I'd like for you to let the audience know, especially those new managers, like what advice would you give to new managers, people in the security industry, if they're stepping in to help with their leadership and into the industry? Yeah.
Yeah. So for any uh, you know, young security officer out there who wants to get into this industry and succeed, I would advise them to just, keep pushing. Don't don't give up. Um, you will find a company out there that will see your potential, they will see your skills, and they will provide you the growth that you're looking for. Of course, not everyone's looking for growth, but for those that are looking for growth, just don't give up and never stop learning. You know, um, try to take classes, try to, obtain certificates, try to obtain special training, and all of that will eventually, um, it'll lead to something. It led me where I'm at today, actually, seeking that higher learning, seeking those certificates, to give me, more knowledge and skills in this industry. And that helped me. And, also having good role models, having good managers, and following their examples, following their lead. Um, you know, Try to be a team player. And I know sometimes it's hard to be a team player if you're working at a toxic environment.
Mhm.
And there are companies out there that are a bit toxic, and you probably want to leave that place and look for a better place. But don't give up. Just keep pushing, keep trying to learn more, keep doing the right thing, and eventually somebody will see your potential, and you'll get that growth that you are seeking.
Aw, that's beautiful. Love it. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome, Melinda. Thank you very much for your time, for inviting me today, and for training us, making us all better.
Yes, thank you, Raul. I can't wait for your training company to get launched.
Thank you. We'll see. That'll be sometime in the distant future. Who
People,
knows?
people need it. People need your training. They need it. So
I have
especially,
a passion for it. I do have a
yeah,
passion for it. But
yes.
yeah, thank you so much for that.
All right, listeners, thank you so much for joining and implement the tools, the tips today that we've shared. And until next time, remember, anytime you have an opportunity to speak, you also are connecting and making a positive difference in the world. Until next time, I'm your sister in flow. Take care. Thanks for joining the conversation today. Are you curious on how you measure up with your ability to speak in flow? Come grab my free self-assessment at https://speakinflow.com/assessment. And I'll see you on the other side.